What is up, everyone? Okay, back here, Firefall. I'm gonna run some thumps in the background while we talk about part 3 of my series here on crafting materials and crafting items. Bear with me, I'm not perfect. I know I've missed a couple things in the previous episodes, and some people have been nice enough to respond and leave a comment as to what could be changed, what could be better. So I appreciate that. I am only human, so just bear with me. This one I want to talk about basically optional components that you see when you're building. Specifically what they are. I mean, you can go out on the web and you can find them on the wiki and whatnot, but I'm just going to try to put this in one big video so it's easier for everybody, and it just goes with the little mini series I've created. Okay, so essentially there's two types. There's a stabilization and there's a structural type of optional component. And inside of that there's actually 3 different versions. Okay, so there's 2 versions of structural and 1 version of stabilization. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to put up on the screen, and hopefully you can read it. I'm going to put up on the screen each of these and just let you follow through. So we're going to start with the basic structural reinforcement. Okay, these are structural reinforcement number 1. What you can do, you can purchase it for 500 crystite from any of the component vendors inside of Sunken Harbor, Thump, or Copacabana. Okay, and effectively it adds 500 points to your repair pool, so your repair pool gets a little bigger. Okay, then you've got structural reinforcement level 2. Alright, same thing, you can buy it for 2,500 crystite from your component vendors in any of the 3 areas. And this effectively adds 1,000 points to your repair pool. So it just makes your equipment basically more repairable, last longer. Okay. Next you got structural reinforcement level 3. You can pick it up for 5,000 crystite from the vendors, and it adds 1,500 points to your repair pool. This is the one that I like to use the most. I'll probably use higher ones as I get higher in my gear, as far as like in level 3 and level 4, sometimes I use the higher gear, or the higher reinforcements, but generally I like to use the structural reinforcement number 3 for my personal preference when I'm building items. Anyway, okay, so next up we have structural reinforcement level 4. You can purchase it for 7,500 crystite from the component vendors, and it adds 2,000 to your repair pool. So it really adds a lot to the repair pool, makes it last even longer. And if you don't die much, then your equipment's going to last forever. But it's really easy to repair it, obviously. Okay, so then you have structural reinforcement level 5. Okay, this is the top of the line one. It's going to cost you 10,000 crystite, but it adds 2,500 points to your repair pool. So it's a pretty nice option if you want to. Now, I probably use level 5 for some of my gear on my level 4 gear when I actually get to that point. Not all of it, but the most important portions, or the most important items that I use the most as far as my gear is concerned, will get it. Okay, so then we're going to actually talk about stabilization routines now. Okay, we got 5 levels again. This is a little bit different. Stabilization, it's going to reduce your constraints on your mass and power in your battle frame, but it will increase your CPU or core usage. So you've got to make sure that when you're building anything, you have the proper amount, or you have enough mass and power, and or enough extra CPUs when you're building. You can go back to my prior 2 videos in the series, and I'll have already linked them up top in this video annotations, so that way you can see crafting and talking about constraints. Okay, these are basic constraints when you're building gear, and you have to calculate how you put it all together, so that way you have enough without killing yourself to where you've only got about 50% of run speed, and you pretty much feel like you're lagging everything. Anyway, okay. Stabilization routine. So we've got 5 levels. Stabilization routine level 1, subroutine level 1. You can purchase it for 2,750 crystite in the component vendors, but you can also get it as a loot drop from a creature. Which creatures, how often, all depends on the varies, but there's the potential there, okay? This effectively reduces your mass and power by 10% and increases your core usage by 1%, so there's your offset. Sometimes it's much better to have more core usage than it is obviously the other stuff. When you reduce your mass, you allow yourself to stay faster. The more mass and power you have, the slower you're going to be. Anyway, okay. Stabilization subroutine level 2 is going to cost you 6,250 crystite from the vendors, and or it'll drop as an item. Okay, how often these drop is pretty rare. I think I've only ever gotten 1s and 2s from creature drops at this point, but the potential is there. Reduces your constraints by 19% on your mass and power, and increases your core usage by 2. Okay. Stabilization subroutine number 3. You can purchase it for 14,000 crystite, and it will reduce your constraints by 27%, so it's a large difference in your mass and power, and increase your core usage by 3. This is generally the one that I like to use the most, as it gives you the most reduction versus core usage, as far as I see it, as far as I like it, and it's not too expensive. Okay, so now we move on to stabilization subroutine number 4. This is going to cost you 32,000 crystite, so now it gets expensive, and you have a reduction in your constraints of 34% for mass and power. Not huge over the 27%, but it's double the crystite. So that's why I go back to I like number 3, because it doesn't cost as much and I get a good reduction in my constraints. And then finally we have stabilization subroutine level 5, which is going to cost you an uber 70,000 crystite, but it will reduce your constraints by 41% in mass and power, and it's going to cost you 5 CPUs. Now when I say 41% in mass and power, it's when you're looking at an item to build. You see on the crafting screen, you'll see the initial mass and power costs. You're going to take 41% of that. Let's say you're on the stabilization level 5, and that's how much of the reduction is going to be. Okay, so that handles the stabilization. Now I like if you look at my first video and my second video, you'll see that some items, like I said, I'll use structural. Some items I'll use stabilization. Okay, it's all a calculation.
Large quantities of unknown crystite hybrids detected.
Alright, so let's get on to category number 3 then. Quantum reinforcements. Quantum reinforcements. Well, they're a structural category, okay? They're not something you can purchase. I think you can get them from that coin vendor now, randomly. But for the most part, from what I've seen and what I understand, is they're pretty much just random drops from creatures, okay? Or enemies in the world. So they're going to be harder to find. Are they good? They are probably the best type of structural reinforcement that you can get, and I'll go into it right now and explain why. So the source, as far as I know at this point, everything comes from random drops. Okay? If I'm wrong or if that changes, I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I'm trying to give you the best information that I can from what I know and what I've gotten. I've gotten a few drops in the past, so okay, so 5 levels again. Quantum reinforcement level 1, random drop. It's going to give you 500 to your repair pool, so the same as what your original structural reinforcement will give you. But on top of that 500, it's going to also increase your repair pool percent by an extra. It's going to increase your repair pool by an extra 10%. Okay, so you're going to get an extra 10% from what it should be standard, plus another 500 on top of that. Okay, level 2, quantum reinforcement. Same thing, drops the same way, but this time you're going to get 1,000 points added to your repair pool, and you're still going to get that 10% increase in your repair pool. So now you can see, instead of just getting the 1,000 that you would get in a structural reinforcement, you're also increasing an extra 10% on top of that. So that's why everybody wants to get the quantum ones, okay? And they also don't cost you any crystite because you get them in a drop. Anyway, quantum reinforcement level 3, we're going to continue basically the same way. This time you're going to get your extra 10%, plus you're also going to get 1,500 points in your repair pool. So the same as the structural level 3 with your 1,500 points, but you get that extra 10%. That extra 10% is awesome if you can get it, okay? Quantum reinforcement level 4, in the same way as a structural, you're going to get 2,000 extra points in your repair pool. Again, you're also going to get an increase in your repair pool by 10% for a quantum. And finally, the quantum reinforcement level 5. Same thing as a structural level 4. It's not going to cost you crystite, of course. It's going to add 2,500 points to your repair pool. It's also going to increase your pool by an extra 10%. So if you can get a hold of these quantum ones when you're building, they're definitely better than the structural. But I would not use these until you're at the higher level gear, like level 3 and 4 gear. Just because your level 1 and 2 gear is good, have repair pool, all that good stuff, but you're not going to keep it, or you're not going to use it much once you've reached level 4, unless you've built your frame in a specific way where you would prefer to have something as a level 2 versus something that's a level 4. So, you know, it's potentially there, but I would personally hold off on your quantums if you collect them and if you get any until you're ready to build the higher level gear, just because you want that higher level gear to last a lot longer. Okay? So, with that said, hopefully this video has given some light to the optional components. They're optional, they're not required. Do I like using them? Yes, I like using them. Check out my other 2 videos again. One where I go through actually fully crafting a level 3 piece of gear, and one where I talk about the constraints that we have here, as you can see. If you have any comments or questions, anything, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. Hopefully I've helped you guys out with this a little bit so you understand it better. I'm not perfect, like I said, so if I've got something wrong, you know, leave a comment. We'll keep the comment there so other people can read about it. If I have to eventually update this video, I'll eventually update the video. But thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next episode, whatever we're doing. And as always, if you like the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed and you want to subscribe for great content, more stuff from me, please do hit the subscribe button. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode. See you later.